Hello, Twitch. We're joining you from the tubes that make up the internet. We are here at the AWS Summit in New York City. I'm A.M. Grabelny, a partner solutions architect, joined by two evangelists and a CTO. We've got all the titles that we could have. Brandon, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm the person who has the mustache in those videos, but you can tell it's since been shaved. But if
no
you wanted
longer
to come
November.
back, post your support for the stash in the chat so I can show it to my wife and say, hey, the audience loves the stash. Anyway, that's enough about me. So I'm on the evangelism team. I used to work with AM on this team. Very excited to be back. Chase, how about you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am the CTO and co-founder of Stackery, which is a product that helps organizations develop and adopt serverless technologies.
I'm Nikki. You guys know me. I'm a technical evangelist at AWS, always on Twitch.
So, we're here to talk about Stackery, right?
Yes.
One of the great pieces of AWS is its partner network, if I do say so myself.
Yes.
I work with the partner network.
Yes.
So, tell us about Stackery. What problems does Stackery solve?
Yeah, so Stackery helps fill in a lot of the pieces of the workflow that organizations, developers need to be effective at building serverless applications. It goes beyond just the functions that you might build and into all the managed services, how to provide permissions, how to even store the code that you're going to use, the templates inside of Git repositories, deployment mechanisms, environment management. So we help people with all of that. So I've got a little slide here that shows if you're going to build a serverless application and you're going to do it effectively in a team environment, you really need to take all of these amazing services that AWS provides and piece them together. There's permissions components, there's event handling components, and a lot of the pioneers in the serverless space, they come along, they've figured out how to do this themselves. But with Stackery, we're helping people go and adopt serverless right out of the gate effectively.
I cannot believe, Chase, you're telling me there's more to it than a zip file and an upload to a Lambda function.
Just a little bit. Just
a little bit more.
So today, I thought it'd be fun to kind of take a look at what it's like to build a serverless application. A very simple one, something that maybe takes a message from an SNS topic and then pipes that into a function.
Are you going to build something for
We're
us
going
right
to build
now?
something. We're going to do a
professional
live demo.
coder, guys.
Live demo. We're going to take that SNS message. We're going to use a function to upload it to a DynamoDB table. Maybe it's part of your analytics backend, let's say. So let's take a look at what that's like. I have here my favorite IDE. This is Visual Studio Code. And
Mine too.
Yeah?
It's fine.
I've got
the one dissenter. You have to be the voice
I'm
of
kidding.
dissent.
I barely write code anymore, so don't listen to my opinion on IDEs.
So you're with mostly the right crowd.
Yes.
With this VS Code choice.
Exactly. So we've got a very basic empty project here. I've got this CloudFormation or SAM template that doesn't have any resources defined yet. But with Stackery as a plugin of Visual Studio Code, I can start to drag and drop resources into a canvas here. So we talked about how we had an SNS topic that we wanted to...
So we need one of those.
We need one of those. We'll add that in. We'll see as soon as we added that in, it added that to our template here.
Look at how nice this is. You do not have to write CloudFormation.
So what was the next thing we talked about adding?
Lambda, I think.
A Lambda function, yeah. So let's drop in a Lambda function. Not only adds it into our template, but it gives us some source code scaffolded here. And then we're going to take that message, we're going to save it into a DynamoDB table. So why don't we add a DynamoDB table? So we've quickly scaffolded up a very simple application using SAM, the serverless application model. And we've got our basic resources, but they're not tied together yet. So why don't we tie some of these together?
I want to, jump in real quick. SAM, specifically the piece of SAM you're using here is the template format.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So we talked about how we're going to have a message sent to this SNS topic. The function's going to take that, and it's going to upload it to a DynamoDB table. And because we wired this together, that gave us the permissions to access this table from our DynamoDB function, to get the name of the table from an environment variable once this has been deployed, and we set up our subscription over in our template to receive events from that SNS topic. Now,
Without having to write that SAM. All you did was drag.
Exactly. So here's the key thing. We've seen a lot of people struggle with this concept of, I need to deploy out an application, and when I need to iterate on it, I need to keep writing code and then redeploying, and that takes forever. It takes a minute or two at minimum each time you want to make a code change. And we realized after talking with people that we had it backwards. What we need to do is we need to deploy to be able to develop. So we've got our infrastructure here, and we haven't touched our business logic yet. We're actually going to start by deploying this. So Stackery deploy. I'm going to use the local strategy. And I'm going to use
You have to have a CLI tool, right?
Exactly.
You have to, no matter what. Every service, I think, every business has to have.
AM, this is like your perfect tool. They have a VS Code extension and a CLI tool.
I know, it's like looking into a mirror.
Is this like heaven?
And it's serverless.
Are you in heaven?
It's serverless,
And
too.
it's serverless.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is using the AWS SAM CLI tools under the covers to build up this application, both the source code for the function and the template, doing some final tweaks on it, uploading it to AWS CloudFormation and the packages to S3. We'll see it here in a minute. It will start to deploy it out. The key here, when I said deploy to develop, the key is we're going to have a real SNS topic, we're going to have a real DynamoDB table, and we're going to have permissions to access those in a Lambda function. So now that we have this deploying out, what we'll do, we need to do one more thing. We need to figure out, as we're going to start to write our code, the next thing we might ask ourselves is, what does an event look like for this function? What is an SNS event? What's the structure of it? So we know how to deal with it. So now that this has been deployed out, I can hop on over to the Stackery deployment view inside of its console. I can jump into the AWS console for this topic directly. I'll publish a little test message. We'll say the subject is hi, hello world, and we'll send this message, which is going to invoke our function.
Yep.
So now it's a question of, how do I get that input message? What does that look like? Well, we can use the Stackery tooling again.
See the logs?
To grab that event out of the logs. So I'm going to descend into the function source code directory. I'll do Stackery, pluck events from my development environment, and I think that's all I need to add as arguments. And we'll see this go out and hit the AWS logs and pull that event.
There's the blazing speed of the Java Center Wi-Fi working against you here a little bit.
If this doesn't work, you can always skip past this and just go straight to deploying out something that communicates to that DynamoDB table. There we go. It finally came through. So we start to see what it looks like. In the background, I'm going to pipe that into a file that we will use in a minute. So while that's doing that, we talked about how we're going to take messages from this topic, and we're going to record that into a DynamoDB table.
Yep.
So it's time to start writing our code. So we're going to take the AWS.
They have an important question for you. Tabs or spaces?
Oh, spaces. 2 spaces.
There you go, guys. Follow-up question to that. Do you normally use the light theme?
You're getting roasted by the Twitch.
Do I normally use what?
You're getting roasted for the light theme on Twitch
Everyone
right
is saying
now.
it's 2019. You got to be running dark mode.
Do you normally use this, or you just chose this for the demo because you thought maybe it was easier to see?
I normally code in a well-lit environment.
Okay, guys, there it is.
You heard it here first.
All right, so we're going to create our.
They're really enjoying it. I love having my eyes bleed. I can't
Oh,
believe this
there's
is
a
like
lot of
these.
judgment.
Someone just canceled you. You've been canceled.
He's
no.
canceled.
Wow.
Wow.
I thought this was a safe space.
No, it is. It is.
They've
Everyone,
always told me that Twitch is a safe space.
I'm-
Someone
I'm-
lied.
I'm sure Chase will take your dark mode
Random
feedback
13X,
to
he's
heart.
using VS Code right now.
All right, so something I am starting down at the bottom is a local invocation of our function, so that as we start to edit our code, we will see.
How about we give him some
Things
hype in
change.
chat for live coding right now in the middle
Yeah.
of the expo hall at AWS New York Summit with thousands of people here and also on the internet. I think we should give him some hype.
So
There it is.
thank
Look at
you
that.
for
You
that.
got
Oh,
some
you got
hype
some
in
fire.
chat.
Nice,
You got some
nice.
fire.
Thank you.
So we've got our event in here. We notice that it's a JSON object that has these records array. So if we're in our code, we can do for const record of events.records. And we could do something like, why don't we just console.log what this looks like?
They want to know what the plugin with the Flask icon is in your VS Code.
Plug in with the Flask icon.
I don't know.
This here, that is the Stackery logo. That's what has our nice
Oh, okay.
canvas editor, if that's what you're
Sorry,
referring
I couldn't
to.
even see that.
Yep. So we can save this, and we'll see that it's going to start to log out our record down here. This is part of the, we deployed first. Now we're rapidly iterating, deploy to develop. So, okay, so we're logging out the record. Now let's do something a bit more complicated. Let's take building up an array of promises. Do some asynchronous coding here. All right, so we're going to call out to DynamoDB. We're going to do a put operation. And one of the parameters that you need is the table name of our DynamoDB table. Now, if you were with us 10 minutes ago when we were constructing our template, you notice that we added environment variables automatically to get the table name as a process environment variable. So I can reference that here. And then I just need the item specification itself. We'll do a little bit of magic where we pull the message ID out. We got records.sns.message ID. So we'll grab this as our ID of our record, and the rest of the properties we'll just copy in. All right, and lastly, we need the promise, and that's getting pushed.
Nice use of the spread operator, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Some
Yeah, some
Yeah,
ES6 love.
ES6
Yeah.
right there for you.
And lastly, we wait on our promises.
Robert Tables says he's really into this and he will forgive the light theme. So, thank you.
Thanks, Robert. All right, so invariably, I'm sure I made a mistake, but we'll save this and we'll see what happens. Mistakes aren't as painful now because it only takes a few seconds to rerun all this code that I just wrote. And somehow, magically, I managed not to make at least a syntax error. Because this was green, it shows that it went through all right.
So should we check the DynamoDB
We
table?
should check exactly. Why don't we go check that?
I got to call out too while you're moving around. I see in there. I got to give a shout out. You're using that Lamb CI image, right? Which is the same one that Sam also uses.
Exactly. So we actually wrap around AWS's own tooling. So our Stackery local invoke, it works by getting credentials of your function so that you have the same permissions that you would be using as it's deployed out into AWS. And we're grabbing the environment variables, which you saw we use for resource location, discovery. Then we call AWS SAM under the covers to run this function using the Lamb CI container. Everything that we do in Stackery is in concert with our friends at AWS to figure out the best practices.
Are we best friends,
We are
Chase?
best friends.
Really?
We are. Not
I think
only
you're
on
the
a
first person
personal
on
level.
stream.
Wait, what about me?
No.
As well.
You're the first person on stream
all
to
of
agree
us
to best
on
friends.
this stage are best friends.
Don't
No,
forget,
sure.
we'll
Just
put you on
me.
Twitch
We
first.
did just meet
Exactly.
like 20 minutes
Exactly.
ago, but We can be best friends. It's cool.
Exactly.
Right on.
Okay, so
This is
because
detracting
you're,
from my
because
win.
you're live coding,
If
by the
you're
way,
giving out best friends,
you had
just
no
20 minutes
syntax
in.
errors, and your demo worked perfectly on the first time. All
Somehow.
of Twitch chat has forgiven you for the light theme.
Wow. All right.
But there's actually some debate now.
Success.
People are-
Redemption.
There's a debate
Success.
now. There's
You know
some
what?
light theme
I think the
stalwarts in
light
there.
theme is actually helping me code better. Throw that out there. I think
Nice.
it's the light theme that made me code
BSD
error.
guy wants to know if he's also your best friend.
I'll be best friends with anyone.
There you go.
This really cheapens.
You have a lot of best friends,
The
Chase.
I'm
interaction
so
earlier.
sorry,
Chase.
AM. I am
Wow.
so sorry. So we took that event. If we look, we saw that its message ID was started with 22E8, and hey, there it is in our DynamoDB table.
Brilliant.
So that is how.
You created a demo that worked on the first try live. That was like robotic coding. You're a magician.
This is the
I'm like
magic.
impressed. I feel like I
of-
should bow down.
This is the magic of using Stackery to deploy to develop.
Right, yeah, this is the local dev story, right?
This is the local dev story. And in fact, I want to give a little bit of preview. We're going to have more news about this next week. But as you saw here, I used the Stackery tooling to build this whole thing. If you've already built your own application using any other framework, any other technology, maybe it's AWS CDK, maybe it's Amplify, you will be able to use today our CLI to locally invoke that function as well. You just give it the ARN and a directory where the source code resides, and we will figure out the rest and give you the same quick local development iteration that has been missing from the serverless development story.
Sounds
So
like
cool.
an under-the-radar little announcement there.
A little bit. It's a preview.
That's cool.
It's a preview.
That's really cool.
We like to tease things at these events.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned this before on a previous stream with me, but what is the pricing exactly? I know there's a certain amount you get free when you sign up
Great
with Stackery.
question. Yeah, we have a free tier. You get 6 deployments of an application. We call them active stacks. 6 of them can be deployed at any given time for free. Once you go beyond
Guys,
that,
take advantage.
yeah. Once you go beyond that, it's $10 per active stack per month. We obviously have enterprise licensing as well, where we can provide discounts. We can also provide training, and we can hook people up with great partners to help you learn how to do serverless on top of Stackery.
Okay, so Minnow0 wants you to specify 6 concurrent deployments or 6 a day.
So it's not the number of deployments you make, it's that you
The
can
number of
have
stacks.
6 instances of applications that are live deployed via Stackery in your account. You could deploy them 1,000 times. We just had one of our customers on Twitter yesterday say they just reached 5,000 deployments through Stackery.
Wow.
You can deploy as many times as you want. You can have 6 instances of your application running at once on the free tier.
So
Super
there was
cool.
another question from the stream. This one, a little bit of a tougher question, so I'm curious to see
All
what
right.
you say. But this is from Elder Grounds. What is the biggest drawback of using Stackery?
Oh man, what is the biggest drawback of using Stackery?
Can you even
Um,
think of one?
Our
I
strength
can't.
is our biggest weakness, right? That's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's that I don't know. It's a
So
hard one.
this is an
Yeah.
easier one, Robert Table. So you can have like dev, test, prod, and that's 3 active stacks. That
Yes,
would be.
exactly, exactly. So you could do dev, test, prod of 2 applications, and those you get for free.
Yeah.
And
Elder
then-
Grounds, are you supporting substacks?
Yeah, so you don't have to pay for nested stacks. You only, if you're a little bit more advanced and you understand the CloudFormation terminologies under the covers, you do not have to pay for nested stacks. It's just the top level root stack that you deploy through Stackery that we look at.
Super cool.
Yep.
So we've got the VS Code extension for interaction. We've got a CLI tool for interaction.
Yep.
We peeked into a little bit too. There's also a browser-based.
There is. So
Canvas.
if for some reason you don't love Visual Studio Code,
What?
there is a local browser-based version as well, where you just run the CLI and it pops it open in your browser to edit. Beyond
hope
what you
that's
saw
not you.
today, I should mention, If we go back to that slide that we were showing, all the different pieces, we really looked at how you build and deploy, and manage that pipeline. We go beyond that into environment management, so you can parameterize your deploys using AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store. We use Secrets Manager to store credentials that you may need encrypted at rest and accessible at runtime. We integrate with CloudWatch, X-ray tracing, and third-party tools like Epsagon, which you'll hear about very
they're coming
shortly.
up next. You guys are good friends, right?
We are partners.
Epsagon
we
and
love
Stackery.
Epsagon. They're great. So we help you with all of this. So if you're new to serverless, we're a great place to start. If you've been fumbling around and struggling with workflows around serverless, we help a lot of those people get to success as well.
Yeah, so Biff Naked has a question here, too.
Yeah.
Good Twitch name, too. That's
It is.
It's
It
a
is.
band,
I
right?
like it.
That's an old school band a little bit, isn't it?
I have no idea.
It's
It's a
a
great
band.
name
It
either
is.
way.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there is a
There's
band.
a band. I've heard
at
that
least
band.
named that.
Biff Naked asks, what differentiates it from Sam Local? Which I know there are some things
Yeah.
that actually.
So we
it can
actually
do.
build on top of and we integrate Sam Local. We provide some of the glue beyond Sam Local to enable environment management so that you can have these development, test, production environments that aren't quite built into the mechanism that Sam itself has. We help integrate that as part of a deployment process, whether you do that locally on your laptop, as I showed, or maybe it spins up inside of a code build job that we help provision in your AWS
But you actually
account.
provide things on top of Sam Local that Sam Local doesn't provide, which I
Exactly.
feel like we've previously talked about. So one of them was permissions,
Yep, we help scope permissions very nicely.
mimicking the
Yep.
permissions, and then what was the second thing?
So it's part of integrating that into a deployment pipeline, whether it's directly through code build, through integrating that as part of your existing pipeline, whether it's Jenkins or you're using AWS code pipeline.
Got it.
We go beyond a lot of the very basic. A lot of people get started and they build their first application. A principal engineer does that. They get successful. And then the question is, how do we bring this to the rest of the team?
Yeah.
And that's where the visual editing is helpful, that you've got the ability to take something that maybe it's this gigantic 2,000-line CloudFormation template. And if I drop that in and we watch the template, if I drop that in, we'll see the template
Actually update to show all the
update.
connections.
to show everything
There it is.
in that template. This is a 2,000-line
But you're getting some questions here
CloudFormation template.
from Bad Viet Ku. Is this ready for enterprises?
completely. So we have customers that range from small startups on up through Fortune 50 customers. Our tool set is really geared towards helping teams of developers be successful in adopting serverless collaboratively.
So we've unfortunately got to wrap things up here. Give our friends from Epsagon some time
exactly.
too on
Yep.
the Launchpad. But Chase, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you. It was a pleasure to be
believe
here.
We dropped a link to go sign up
Yep.
for Stackery. Try it
Yep.
out in Twitch chat. Maybe the call to action link too. So stick around.
And we have live streams every Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time, if you want to learn more.
Good plug.
And I promise I'll bring Chase back on AWS livestream with me at a later point in time. We're going to build something, remember?
I know. Yep.
Awesome.
It's going to be great.
Well, thanks for being my best friends.
Yes, I'm happy to.
All right.
Stay
Happy
tuned
to.
for Epsagon coming up next, monitoring your serverless apps.